don't, just asking the question. Let's bring on Dan Bongino, who will answer some for us. Fox News contributor, former NYPD officer, former Secret Service agent. Dan, we want your take on both spots. We'll get back to Seattle, but when it comes to Atlanta, I know you've looked at the footage. I heard you make some comments about it last night. Ultimately, these cops are called to the scene because a vehicle's blocking the drive-through. They think he's intoxicated. They try to make a arrest. He resists arrest. They say verbally, I'm going to tase you, I'm going to tase you. Then the taser is taken. By my view of the video, it looks like the suspect even fired the taser back at the officers. Yeah. In this case, what do you make of how officers handled the situation and how leadership have since handled it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's get out of the way first. Obviously, a man died, and that's tragic. Nobody wants to see that, whether it's on the police side, on the community side, anywhere. We get that. Having said that, I always ask the question when it comes to law enforcement issues, for people who are sadly ignorant of them, many who haven't lived in the shoes of a law enforcement officer themselves, well, what would you do? What's your suggestion? So you have an individual suspected of being intoxicated. May not have been. I don't know the results of the sobriety. Let's say he is. So he's intoxicated. What do? You just want to let him go? What do you want to get him back in the car, mow down a family on the street because he's potentially drunk? So, no, okay, so let's eliminate that as a really bad idea. So now we can all agree, right? You don't want a drunk driver behind you. I don't know, liberals will watch. So can we all agree on that? Okay, we can, the same people on this panel. So you have to arrest him, okay? So now you're going to arrest him, and the subject clearly does not want to be arrested. Okay, so let's walk through. What do you do? Well, again, we can't let him get back in the car, so we have to arrest him using force. Keep in mind, Pete, not force the police officers wanted. They didn't initiate this. The subject did. Okay, so what do you do then? He punches you in the face. Oh, clearly we just walk away then. Oh, so we're not enforcing resisting arrest anymore. So now there's going to be a universal edict. If you don't want to be arrested, just punch the officer in the face. Again, you understand how the left doesn't. This is not a good or bad. It's all bad. The guy died. It's bad. This is what's the bad or worse choice. And the bad choice was to have to engage in a use of force episode with this individual who pointed a taser back at a law enforcement officer he had just punched in the face. Okay? It wasn't a good option to have to engage with your firearm. There were no good options. He's dead. There was a bad and a worse option. And the worse option is to let this subject continue to engage in use of force against them without stopping the episode. Sadly, it resulted in his death. But make no mistake, the use of force was controlled by one person. The individual who resisted arrest stole a weapon, ran away, and then pointed it at the officers, which is clear on the video. And listen, one more thing. I'm not taking any guff from any of the... I know they watch this show and they jump on their, from their s'mores roasting in their basement. They've never been in law enforcement their whole life. And I was the first one, I think, one of the first people on the set were calling out the episode with George Floyd as a grotesque abuse of force, and I'll continue to do so, and so will the good cops out there. But I've got to tell you, nothing good came out of this yesterday. But you jumping down these cops and firing them without looking at it through a sane lens and saying, what would I have done, is just plain wrong. And you're not going to develop any respect by doing that either.